we had Sooner Virginia hit us up. I almost said Sooner Vision, which I think is one of their media outlets out there. Maybe one of the in-house outlets out there. Regardless, Sooner Virginia reached out to us and said, what's the outlook for non-Alabama and non-Georgia teams in the SEC? And I think, to be honest, this is going to be, as we sit here in January of 2024, one of the deepest years the SEC has ever had. Or at least in recent memory. The obvious there, outside of Georgia and Alabama, is Texas. Texas was a playoff team this year. Also, guess what? They passed the Alabama test this year in Tuscaloosa, and you bring back Quinn Ewers. So the most important part of your football team, the player that makes your offense go, is back, and he's got some more skins on the wall. And again, this is all assuming that the reports of him likely staying follow through and equate to him actually staying, and I think that would make sense for him. Also, the line of scrimmage. I understand they'll lose some guys, but for the most part, I think they've recruited well enough and built that team to a certain point where they're going to have the price of admission to compete in the SEC. I think they're going to be in good shape for a while there, but in this upcoming year, I think Texas has the confidence and has the trend to be really successful in the SEC. Ole Miss now is one of the ultimate sleepers, I think, across the college football landscape, and they may not be a sleeper when the season starts. Jackson Dart coming back. He is, I think, one of the most underrated players in the country. Deserves a lot more national juice. Dude is a baller and proved it in that bowl game against Penn State. And the way they're developing the trenches. Added Walter Nolan. Added Tyler Barron. Added Princely Umanmielen. Guys that all have real deal playing experience. All guys that are proven commodities, not just in college football, but in the SEC. They know what they're getting week in and week out. So the line of scrimmage, I think, will be improved from a year ago defensively. And then going back to what I just said, the offense, with Jackson Dart running the show, you add in Juice Wells, who they got via the portal. Lane Kiffin has a team right now that I think is set to make some major, major noise. The offense was always going to be in that 30 points a game range as long as Lane Kiffin's your head coach. But now having the defense be able to take it up a notch and say what we said previously. If you want to compete with Georgia and Bama, it starts having those big boys up front. I don't think you'll see Ole Miss ever just get bullied around anymore with that kind of depth on the defensive line. Now, we have to take it from paper to the practice field and ultimately to the grass on game day, but I love the way this team is built. I think Ole Miss has a very real chance. They got to be a dark horse to win the conference in my mind, along with Texas. They'll be competitive without question for some hardware. Now, two teams I wouldn't sleep on. Well, let's make it three teams. Missouri, pending Brady Cook coming back for another year. Luther Burden is going to be back for another year. Adding talent across the board for Missouri. Williams Nwaneri signed there. I expect him to play early. The way this roster is built, I think they are set to build on what they did this past season. Now, no more Cody Schrader. That's unfortunate. It's a massive loss, but Missouri, the way that they've got some momentum right now, they got some self-belief. Eli Drinkwitz, I think he's got a team out there. He's got a program out there in Columbia, Missouri. Two teams that are under the radar, though, Texas A&M and Auburn. Let's start with A&M. They've got the talent. How long have we said that? I know the portal has ravaged their roster. I understand. They still have top 10 talent in the country from where I'm standing. And now you got a guy in Mike Elko who preaches the right things, who preaches structure, who preaches culture. That's been what's missing at A&M for a minute now. That's not me throwing shade at the old staff. I'm just saying it's obvious when you watch A&M, they were a team with a great engine, not a great steering wheel. They've always had the juice. They've always been able to compete with those teams. But now I think you have someone who is able to take all that horsepower and give it some real direction. I would watch A&M in the SEC. And this is the probably the most under-the-radar team. What if Peyton Thorne takes a jump at Auburn? What if he improves from what he did this past season? Now, I understand the bowl game left a lot to be desired. I do not blame you. But my feeling on Auburn going into the year was, okay, they used the portal well. How quickly does it gel? Peyton Thorne did not get spring football in Auburn, Alabama. So throughout the course of the season, fall camp, going into the games they were playing, to me, it felt like he was still trying to totally get comfortable and never really got there. Now give him a full offseason, give him those full 15 practices in the spring. I think they're going to be in good shape. And we already saw what they were capable of this past season as they were trying to put it together with sticks and glue in the transfer portal. They pushed Georgia to the last drive. They pushed Alabama to 4th and 31. The New Mexico State thing is kind of a black eye on their year, but when you look at what this team is capable of from last season, if they build upon that, let's say they have a pop year and get to maybe 9 wins. 9 wins in the SEC is going to at least put you on the bubble for the college football playoff. So in terms of the outlook for teams outside of Bama and Georgia in the SEC, I think it's a lot of depth. It's going to be dangerous. I barely even talked about Oklahoma. Oklahoma could be a force as well with what Brent Venables did this past season, going from 6 wins to 10 wins. I understand there's a change at quarterback there, but the SEC will be Hunger Games with no divisions, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So the SEC, are there teams outside of Bama and Georgia that are going to be competitive and have a chance to win some hardware in that conference and beyond? You better believe it. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.